is Lucas Spielberg.
And this is Ashton Spears.
And we definitely watch WGS-TV. We're going to own it. Definitely we're going to own it.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, really. Respect my veteran!
Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFX-TV. I am the WrestleGamer, Billy Boudreaux. This is the Bound for Glory 2013 pay-per-view review. Let me introduce the panel. First off, he is the host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, which can be heard exclusively over on Spreaker.com/HWR Media and YouTube.com/HWR Show. He is the Illuminous One, the Shining Star, Rick Starr. Rick, how you shining?
I'm shining pretty good, Billy. Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Classic Wrestling Association, he is here, Mr. Joseph Knight. Mr. Knight, how you doing?
Doing really good, Billy. Thank you for having me on.
He worships Colin Kaepernick on a daily basis, ladies and gentlemen. On a daily basis. Yep, that is right.
Fucking hate.
Yep.
Hello?
Well, he is the Bay Area MVP, known as Will. Will, what's up?
My left nut on the EC3 match.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to WGS-TV. He is the Messiah of the mat himself, Mr. Ashton Spears. Mr. Spears, welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much. Glad to be back, Billy. Rick, my broski from a different hosky. What is up, baby?
Mr. Spears, what's going on, Ashton? How you? Glad to have you back, man.
Oh, bro, definitely glad to be back. It was definitely great to watch a TNA pay-per-view, and it was also great to hear my favorite commentary, Billy Boudreaux, Friday night in Plaquemine, Louisiana.
Oh, definitely. Well, glad to be there. But anyway, let's look at, first off, the gauntlet match that happened on the kickoff show, which I gotta say, TNA has a good idea of having, kickoff shows, an hour before on Spike TV. I kind of like that concept, to be honest. Well, maybe WWE should look into maybe adopting that concept. Maybe not just having their kickoffs on YouTube and the app and Facebook and whatnot. Maybe have it on TV. Maybe for some of their bigger pay-per-views. It's just a thought. But anyway, they did the drawing. Bromance was going to be fourth in the gauntlet match. And it was the team that drew third. It was Rick Young and Joseph Park. So the first two teams were Kaz and Daniels, and I'm trying to remember the other one. Oh, no, Chavo and Hernandez. I apologize.
Right, yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Had went like on mute.
Yeah, Chavo and Hernandez get beat first, and then out comes Eric Young and Joseph Park. They win their match, but Bad Influence beats them down after that match is over, before Bromance comes up with this guy, Mr. Olympia. I have no idea who this guy is. And it kind of put, Eric Young in a 2-on-1 disadvantage, Joseph Park getting hurt, his mouth covered in blood, and he had to be helped to the back. And then I just knew right then and there, they're going to give Bromance the title shot at, against James Storm and Gunner. I'm like, ugh. But anyway, I'll voice my displeasure of Bromance and the fact they ripped off Ashton Spears' gimmick when we get to that match. But, let's look at the opening match, though. The Ultimate X match for the X Division title. Manic defending against Jeff Hardy, Chris Sabin, Austin Aries, and Samoa Joe. Matchup on paper had a lot of potential, Rick, until something you said kind of drove it for me. There were two people we saw that really didn't participate, per se, in the Ultimate X match, i.e. climbing the rope to get to the title, which was supposed to be the main concept of the gimmick. Instead, they have Jeff Hardy bring out what made him famous, the ladder. I'm talking about other than crack and marijuana. The ladder.
You forgot about the crystal meth. Don't give Hardy his props.
Yeah, crystal meth, yes, I do. I stand corrected. And it basically turned the Ultimate X match into an Ultimate X ladder match. And I remember you, Rick, voicing your displeasure over that move.
Yeah, because, when Jeff Hardy announced that he wanted to do an Ultimate X match, he says, "Oh, I've never been in an Ultimate X match," and he wanted to be the Extreme, and, this and that, and then he doesn't even climb the ropes. I'm like, come on, Hardy, are you Extreme, or are you gonna or do you want to just be back and just be a regular wrestler? Pick one or two. Don't sit there and try to be, don't talk the talk and then don't walk the walk. You can't do both. I'm sorry. I understand that you get to a certain age and you can't do what you used to do. I understand that and I respect it. But don't talk it either. Samoa Joe, I understand that he can't climb the ropes. He's like 350 pounds. He might have been able to do it again, but he's getting to that age too, and he's like, fuck that shit. I'm not climbing up there and falling on my ass. Don't blame him. But no, it's just, I'm sorry, it didn't work for me. It was very, very lackluster Ultimate X match. And considering that TNA was showing all these great Ultimate X matches throughout the week, you figured it would have been like one of the best. It was like one of the worst.
I agree. Totally. Only thing I don't agree about is the whole age comment, because I still can climb Ultimate X rope. I'm not scared of climbing up there. It's not actually the fall that scares me. It's more the landing that I'm really worried about. I agree
that was the point.
Yeah, no, I agree with
still landing on your ass, that they're taking the bump. And I'm sure a lot of these guys don't mind taking the bump. But even Jeff Hardy, I think he said a year ago, or a couple years ago, that he wants to get to the point where he wants to be a regular wrestler, because obviously he's getting older, he's going to get injured, more prone to injury, which is fine, but don't put yourself in that situation for that obvious reason. You know what I mean?
Well, I totally agree with you, but it's like this. I'm not famous, but I'm known here for promos. That's what I do. Jeff Hardy for so long was that, hardcore guy. All you really know Jeff Hardy for, honestly, is like that TLC matches, a win over the Undertaker, and his CM Punk feud. So he put himself in that situation, and I agree with you totally. Samoa, that was just a bad placement for him in the Ultimate X division match. You just knew he wasn't going to win. Now, like you said, I thought this would be the show stealer. Like, I thought I'd have to shut the pay-per-view off after it, and it just did not. I don't know if, Billy, maybe you would agree or disagree. It did not live up to the hype. It was like trying to watch a WrestleMania show and it ended up being a Monday Night Raw. That's how it felt, in my opinion.
Finish of the Ultimate X match came with Chris Sabin using Velvet Sky to distract Jeff Hardy, and as Chris Sabin snuck up the ladder behind Jeff Hardy's back and grabbed the X Division title belt. Ergo, your new X Division champion is Chris Sabin. Rick, your score for the Ultimate X match?
I had to give it a 2.75 out of 5. I mean, I can't even give it a 3, just because they're using the ladder more than they use the ropes. So, sorry. Because it was an Ultimate X, and it should have been a 4, or even a 5, I'm sorry. No, it was a terrible, terrible match.
Following up that, we have Bad Influence in the ring. They're ranting over the fact that they're not in the tag team title match. And they feel like it's a big disappointment and a big letdown to TNA, to them, and to what Kazarian said, all the turds out there. And he kind of made an interesting comment that, not since Brokeback Mountain have two men been screwed over more than them. So that was a very unique comment. And then they get interrupted by Eric Young, who said they created a monster. And, of course, that immediately signifies one person, Abyss. And I will say this, though, Mr. Knight, I really like the fact that, they reintroduced Abyss, they brought him back, and they actually used his classic entrance music at Bound for Glory. I thought that was kind of a nice touch by TNA to do that.
Well, they actually saw that the Joseph Parks gimmick wasn't going as well as it's supposed to be. It was long overdue, and they wanted to do their own Kane, because we all know that's what Abyss is. Kane. It's just a ripoff of Kane. So now they wanted to have that version back. They did the comedy. It didn't work. It was getting lame. Now they brought him back. So it's good to see him back. I just hope they do something much better with him and really turn him into the monster that he used to be. I say bring back James Mitchell, let him be his manager at ringside again, and that should help everything. And regarding the Ultimate X, I used to love the Ultimate X. That used to be my favorite matches for TNA. you know, putting Samoa Joe in what is really considered a cruiserweight title, you know, it doesn't make any sense. And Jeff, I love Ladders. Hardy shouldn't even be in there. You know, they should have brought some new up-and-comers. That's pretty much what I have to say about both those things.
I gotta say, I truly enjoyed the segment. You know, Bad Influence, always great on the mic. And again, you know, bringing Abyss back and using classic entrance music for Abyss, and they had Abyss destroy Bad Influence. I gotta say, it was quite the entertaining segment. I gotta go 3.5 out of 5 on that one. As we look at match number 2 for Bound for Glory, the TNA Tag Team titles on the line. As you guys can already have a hint of, you guys can sense the disgust I have in my voice. As Cowboy James Storm and Gunner took on Bromans with now the person that was announced as Mr. Olympia. And I said it on my Facebook page, Mr. Spears, and I'm going to say it on here. You know, right off the bat, Bromans, they hit their version of the Heart Attack, you know, the Heart Foundation finisher on James Storm, and they are the new TNA Tag Team Champions. But, really? Bromans? Really?
Well, I'll say this, bro. I mean, I think you said it off top. I was doing their gimmick a lot better than them, and I did it first. So I don't know. Maybe TNA should get the original, and not the rip-offs. But you know, I really like James Storm. I think he's a great tag team competitor. When I saw Gunner with him, y'all probably will disagree with me because I only caught TNA in certain aspects while I was away. I just didn't like them. It felt like they were trying to do America's Most Wanted Part 2, and I didn't buy it. I'm not saying I buy the bromance thing at all. And I just don't understand why you had Bad Influence destroyed by a great tag team, who in my opinion is probably the best tag team in TNA right now. Get destroyed by one man, no clue, but I was disappointed in the match. I mean, they had some good spots and everything, but just because I'm just so disgusted with their continuing push of this loser Jersey Shore wannabe guy, I can't even give it a 2-star, man. I just hate the dude. It's a competition between him and Dixie Carter for my hatred in TNA.
All right, well, go ahead.
I gotta chime in here. I think the tag team match was pretty good, and there's one thing that I approve that TNA's doing that WWE isn't doing. Tag teams that look like tag teams. Not just two guys meshed together, guys who are wearing the same outfits, coming out together, you know, looking like a tag team. It's been missing from wrestling for a long time, and it's good to see TNA actually doing it. And I don't know what the whole purpose of having Mr. Olympia there is, again, wasting money and space, you know, but the overall, I really like the concept that TNA is actually trying to focus on tag teams.
That is a very interesting point. Up next, we had the official, what they called, Hall of Fame induction of Kurt Angle. Sting, the first ever TNA Hall of Famer, came out to do the official induction, and Kurt Angle declines the Hall of Fame induction. Will, I'm going to ask you, what's your reaction to that?
Well, I said it earlier that ever since he went to rehabilitation, that maybe it wasn't the time for him to get inducted right away. I mean, I know it's going to take a lot of time for him to get that out of his head, have it not foreshadowed, but have it clear from his mind, start fresh all over again. And then when time comes about in the right way, he'll be introduced into the Hall of Fame. I mean, most of us here are probably shocked at why he declined it. I mean, who knows? Rick mentioned that where was his rehab? Wink, wink, spoiler. But let him tell you that.
WWE.
But Mr. Spears got it.
So is this?
Hey, let me chime in for just 1 second. As far as the rehab goes, with me being literally the Scott Hall of Louisiana, you never know when I'm going to be in rehab or getting arrested.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo, that's actually my text message, Tom. Every time I get a text message, hey, yo. But seriously, and I'll ask Billy after I'm finished if he agrees with me or not. I don't think what happens in my private life deters what I do in the business. Because my private life, no matter, whether it's rehab, arrested, fighting, whatever, you got to look at something. That doesn't deter that Angle is one of the best in-ring performers of our time. It doesn't deter from the fact that for a long time he put TNA on his broken neck and let him ride him. I think he deserves a Hall of Fame, and some people need to understand that there's a difference between Kurt Angle the person and Kurt Angle the character. What he does in the wrestling ring is genius. I don't care about his personal life. I'm glad he went to rehab. I don't know if you agree or not, Billy. I'll let you decide that. But
Well,
I think
yeah,
he
I
deserves
gotta
it.
agree with what you said. There is a difference between the Kurt Angle the person and Kurt Angle the character, and what Kurt Angle has done throughout the years in wrestling is indeed ingenious, if more than anything, and he does deserve to be in a Hall of Fame. But I think a lot of fans might look at it and say, you know what, TNA Hall of Fame, maybe not as prestigious as the WWE Hall of Fame, is what they might look at it like that. And a lot of fans might think that Kurt Angle, the only reason he might be declining that is because he's probably waiting for WWE. You never know. Because as far as you know, the way TNA is being run right now, he probably won't be here next year. Anyway, let's look at the TNA Knockouts title match. ODB defending against Gail Kim and Brooke Tessmacher. And, of course, they had to insert the person who robbed Ivelisse Velez of her spot in TNA. Lady, I wouldn't tap that. Lady Tapper. And, me and Rick and Mr. Knight, we kind of had a little bit of a stink about it. Because, they see a use for Lady Tapper in TNA. I think Lady Tapper is even less talented than Robbie E. of Bromance. And I still say this today. I put it on my Facebook, and I firmly stand behind it, Rick, that I literally refuse to acknowledge Lady Tapper as a talent in TNA until she actually shows me some talent.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. She's only been in the match. She's only been TNA for she's only done a couple of matches. She's done mostly squash matches. And if that's the case, I mean, that's like saying
what matches? She hasn't had any matches.
Exactly. She's only so you're backing up my point. I mean, a lot of people consider Goldberg a talent, and I didn't consider him a talent. And people and morons are buying DVDs.
Yeah, also, you gotta
is she worse than
realize.
Lacey Von Erich? That's the question. Is she as bad as Lacey Von Erich?
No, nowhere near. I considered her a much,
At least I could stand looking at Lacey Von Erich.
Okay, you know what? If you want to look, I mean, in wrestling, if you just want to look at little Barbie dolls, or you want to look at people who can wrestle.
No,
Lady
I
Tapper can't wrestle.
I want to see wrestlers because I was helped trained by Jack.
I disagree with you because the way I saw what she did to Brooke, she gave her a nice power bomb right over the ropes. Or were you just completely so ignorant that you didn't even look at that?
You gotta remember there's one thing, and that me and Rick and Billy discussed this. It's a matter of bringing in new faces. Everybody's getting tired of seeing the same people over and over.
Agreed.
You have to bring in new talent, and you slowly build them up. You slowly give them ring time. You know how they're trying to, and again, TNA has always been a follower. Never somebody that will do something ahead of the WWE. AJ has, her Tamara. Now you have Gail Kim and her Tappa. Again, it's a matter of them trying to, copy without actually looking to copy. But again, now you have the void left from Awesome Kong. Now you have Lady Tappa who can compete against ODB. So again, it's a matter of introducing new faces, phase out the old people, and get in there. And I stand by this, and I say that's why you saw the new titles changes. You saw all these things change because they want to start bringing in different faces to hold different titles and different positions in the company. AJ's the champion, new tag champs. Gail Kim now with Tappa. You're going to see a new bunch of faces, and that's what TNA needs.
No, you see, where as a wrestler and a booker, the creative guy in GCW, I would say this: the reason why I disagree with you totally is GCW has had the current core for probably about 2 years. I've probably been helping out for about a year. It is up to the writers or the bookers. We have bookers, they have writers, to keep the characters entertaining enough for you to watch. Now, if you're flipping through the channels, if you see WWE, you see CM Punk and them, you'll stop. If I'm flipping through the channels, the Night of Impact, and I see some of these new faces, bromance. You know, AJ is a star. I'll give him that credit. But the Lady Tappers and the new guys, the guy who's playing Dixie Carter, the son. If I see these people, I don't stop. Yes, you have to bring in new talent. You have to build them. But the problem with that is that takes time. And bromance didn't deserve what they got. I don't think. It's from a booker's point of view. I understand what you're saying. We need new faces. But look at the face of TNA. You just lost Hogan. Anderson's off the TV. Devon released.
And that's exactly why TNA needs to start bringing in new talent. It's me being a promoter of my company. You know, you keep your regulars, true. But at the same time, you want to rotate and bring in fresh faces. You know, maybe the situation with James Storm and Gunner was not working out. Maybe fans were like, they could be transitional champions. You know, here you got Daniels and Cass who might beat them tomorrow or Thursday night. The point is they want to generate other talent. They want to see who's going to be the hit and miss. Because once you do that hit, you're right there. You keep going. How many people are tired of seeing John Cena all the time? How many people are tired of seeing the same people over and over holding WWE titles? When a new individual wins a title, especially like in the big promotion, and I'm going to do a question in a few after all this to everybody regarding majors and minors and indies in levels. I look at it like this. What TNA is trying to do is cut their losses. They lost so much money with Hulk Hogan not giving anything back to the company. They lost so much money with all the names they had. And they're in a situation where we can't pay for this $100,000 wrestler. Let's pay for this $50 wrestler, $100 wrestler. That's what they got to do. They're trying to build up their money again so they can maybe bring another name in.
Well,
right now,
I hate to cut you off, but before we get into all that, let's stick on the topic because I know Billy hates when we go on these 30-minute rants and raves. We could discuss that all night long. So let's turn it back over to Billy because now that I know I got a fellow promoter here, we can have a long conversation after this.
Yeah. Well, Rick, the finish of the match for the knockout style match, Lady Tapa took out both ODB and Brooke Tessmacher as the referee was down. The new knockout champion is Gail Kim. Rick, your score for the Knockouts title match?
I'll give it a 3.0. It was a solid match. Some good spots, but nothing super special, but it was a good match for what it was.
All right, as Rick, bring in the Studley one if you know who I'm talking about. As we look at Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode. Man, oh man, what a technically sound, solid match between these two, but the finish... It's kind of weird, Mr. Knight, as we saw Kurt Angle execute the Angle Slam off the top rope, and then all of a sudden, he's knocked out, and Bobby Roode gets up after like an 8 or a 9 count, and then falls on Kurt Angle for the pin. And then, as long as time, we didn't see Kurt Angle move. What's your take on that?
Well, first of all, I got to say, that was... out of the whole Bound for Glory, I think that was one of the best matches I've ever seen. What could have happened was maybe Kurt tweaked his neck, and he sent a little shockwave through it. He was down. It wasn't serious because the referee would have done the cross and call out for medical assistance. I think basically, maybe this could be something that Kurt takes some time off and says, hey, I've been... I just didn't accept this thing now. I lost this match. I got to build up my confidence. I want to come back. But looking at Kurt's neck, that his glands were swollen. The back of his head was swollen. So I think he actually took a heavy hitter there.
EC3's biggest fan is here, the Studley man, Ashley. Ashley, what's your take on the finish that happened with Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode?
It's kind of refreshing to see kind of a pinfall from a non-person, I guess not, well, Roode didn't execute the move, did he?
No.
It was kind of Angle falling on his own sword, in that sense. It's interesting that they're teasing it with the whole, him turning down the Hall of Fame thing, saying, "I'll do it when I'm ready." They're from what happened, they're clearly teasing, well, if you're losing stuff like that, clearly your health ain't good. You should think about, calling it a day. And him basically refusing to admit that, yeah, perhaps it's time that he calls it quits on his career.
Interesting.
As a wrestler, best match of the night. I expected it. When I saw the lineup, I was like, that's going to steal the show. As far as the ending, I mean, it could be a work, it could be a shoot, but either way, man, they could have done anything for the end, and I would have been like, man, that's wrestling. Because I think that's what TNA needs right there. They say our names impact wrestling on our shows, and I think, at least on this pay-per-view, that was the first real, true, pure wrestling match on the show. And 5 out of 5, man, they stole it. That's just my opinion.
Mr. Dane, do you concur on that score?
I would have to say I give it a 4. It was really good. It was a good match. I say it was a 4 because it was really good. It was incredible action.
Well, up next, Ethan Carter III made his official debut against Norv Burnham.
I don't have to tell him his name. Nobody knows who he is. He's just a nobody.
You need to know who that guy is, because that guy could be in WWE within the next 3 years.
3 years? Really?
Well, he'll be very popular in the indie circuit now.
Pretty Peter Avalon has been in the business for about 6 or 7 years already.
Is that who that is?
Yes. The guy in the singlet was Pretty Peter Avalon.
Well, Ashley, what was your take on the debut of Ethan Carter III?
It did what it had to do. It's just a case of, why are we doing this at your biggest pay-per-view of the year? That'd be the equivalent of, let's say, Solomon Crowe, aka Sami Callihan, debuting at WrestleMania next year in New Orleans in a match against, Barrington Farquharson III. Or something, wasn't it?
Or Ashton Spears.
All right, but Ashley, let me ask you this. What was your reaction to his finisher being the Ambrose kick-out rolling bulldog?
That was the swerve. It was like, oh, okay. Real original idea there. Well, I can't think where you got that from.
I'm an Ambrose mark. I'm a wrestler, and I will admit I was a John Moxley mark, so I'm an Ambrose mark. I was so mad when I seen it. I'm like, they always stealing from the Shield. God, leave the trilogy part 2 alone. Let Dean Ambrose do his thing, man.
The partial confusing thing is, tonight was a TNA pay-per-view, yet 2 of the matches, admittedly one was a dark match, were indie wrestling stars. Because the dark match was Veda Scott taking on Candice LeRae.
And again,
which to me is better than the knockouts match that we had with Lady Tapa.
And again, that proves my point that TNA's looking for indie talent. They're looking for new talent.
Ashley, on the debut of Ethan Carter III?
What, out of 5?
Yeah.
You have to give it middle of the road 2.5. With the hand that he was given, he did the best job that he could.
Up next, we had Magnus and Sting. On paper, set to be a good, solid match between these two guys. And in a couple of things that both me and the Shining Star Rick Starr kind of call the Stinger out on is the fact that when he was really doing the Scorpion Deathlock spots with Magnus, that it was really, really.
He looked like he was bending over, like taking a deep bad shit.
Yeah, he wasn't and someone doing either the Scorpion or the Sharpshooter, as it's more commonly known for those of you who only follow WWE and don't even know who the fuck Sting is. And if you don't know who Sting is, why are you even watching wrestling in the first place?
Let me concur that. If you don't know who Sting is, look, press pause on the YouTube. No, actually, let it finish watching so Billy will get a view. Go to your dad or your own gun cabinet, pick the gun up, and do whatever's best. Because if you're a wrestling fan and you don't know who Sting is, quit watching our sport, please.
If you don't know who Sting is, you're not going to look forward to WrestleMania 30 Hall of Fame.
I disagree.
Because he's not going to be on it.
It'll never happen.
But, well, let's look at the match. Overall match content, it was pretty solid, but something that really caught my eye, I don't know if you got a take on this or not, but, you know, at the finish of the match, it was Magnus locking in what was called the Kingsley Cloverleaf for the submission. Sting actually tapped out. I can't even remember the last time Sting actually tapped out in any of his wrestling matches. But then as Sting was going to kind of congratulate Magnus was kind of like ignoring Sting. Do you think that this could be the precipice, the start for a heel turn for Magnus?
Alright, let's go back to Sting tapping out. Does anybody remember an NWA match that Sting had with Flair? I think you guys need to look that one up.
Not Clash of Champions in 1988. That one went to a draw.
Yeah, he didn't tap. I know that. I just watched it. He didn't tap. It was a draw.
It's not that one. Just go back farther. Magnus turning heel. Me and Rick, we were debating about that about a couple weeks back. Is this the time for Magnus to turn? Possibly. I mean, we've seen throughout the weeks he's been frustrated. He always says he can't win the big one or try to at least do stuff on his own. And did Sting put him on the map? Okay, a little bit. Can't say the match was good. I mean, he put him on maybe half of a map, but not a fully length map. 2.75. Sting did not give his best performance. And this may be my worst match of Bound for Glory. This may be
Can I just say something real quick? TNA once again has took a WCW angle and an NWA angle and tried to make it their own. I love Sting. Sting is not Ric Flair. Sting cannot make people like that. And Magnus is no Sting. Okay? The whole point, they're trying to put a guy on the map with somebody like Ric Flair did to him and passing that torch. It's not Magnus's torch to grab. It's AJ Styles. It's somebody like that. Magnus, in my opinion, still today, nobody wants to listen to me, looks like a great wrestler. Name one awesome match he's ever been in, and you can't blame him. Because Ric Flair has made everybody, every single person, Ricky Steamboat made every single person look phenomenal. I don't see it happening. Sting isn't Ric Flair, and that's not too bad because there's maybe only 3 or 4 people who are in that level of all time.
If Ric Flair can make Terry Taylor outstanding, that's kind of scary. So yeah. One thing I'll say on that, I think they could do an angle where basically Magnus is when you just tapped out because you wanted me to win.
Yeah.
Well, you know that is an interesting point as we go to Will for his score for Magnus versus Sting.
2.75 and a shot of tequila.
Now we look at the main event of Bound for Glory. The TNA Heavyweight Championship on the line made a no DQ, no count-out match by Dixie Carter after Impact was over. Bully Ray defending the title against AJ Styles. And this was by far a good match. You know, there were a lot of good spots, but one spot that both me and the Shining Star Rick Star kind of cringed on was that springboard 450 through the table on the outside. Rick, that was a bad crash and burn.
Yeah, that was a really fucked up pot. Once he hit that, when he hit the table, it looked like his face had almost landed right into the chair face first. I don't even think he really had really opportunity to really block himself or cover properly. So he was really down for a while too. So it took him a while to recover.
Yeah, and I said the same. I said earlier, you had me, Lucas Spielberg, Tucker Jones, Thomas Phoenix, and Tony Stryker, 4 workers in the watching it together. When he sprang, we all said crash and burn, and when he hit, one of the most sickest moments in TNA history, in my opinion. I mean, I'm really not a big TNA fan, but by far what I've seen, that was the spot of the night. I loved it. Shows that AJ is tough. He deserves a pay raise and a script of lore tabs for that.
Mr. Knight, one thing that you were talking about is the fact that throughout the entire evening on Bound for Glory, we were seeing so many vignettes and videos of victories by AJ Styles, and I remember you saying that was kind of putting some doubt in your mind as to whether or not TNA was going to put the title on AJ Styles tonight.
Well, basically, every time you see something like that, it's like you're beefing up your challenger to be the biggest thing. Okay, he won this, he won this, he won this. Then it's like, okay, here comes the match. It's kind of like almost giving away a spoiler. Like, he won last year and he won the year before. Well, guess what? He's going to win again. And the best scenario would have been that he didn't win, because then it would have said, oh, look, all this time and he choked. You know. But at least they gave him the belt. The match was an incredible battle. And one thing I gotta say was real funny. You have Magnus beat Sting, okay? And Magnus is celebrating. Right after that, the little segment they show is AJ beating Magnus for the Bound for Glory series.
I saw that.
What a great way to destroy the guy who just won his last match by showing he lost to someone smaller,
Yeah.
So, but, I really was thinking, oh, they're going to do some screw job, and they were trying to do that with Dixie. Obviously, again, Dixie proved that she's not a good actress, and I wish they would just, they need to smack her, take the company away from her, and put it in the hands of someone who knows what to do.
And I'll say this.
I think Mama Carter needs to take over.
The one thing I disagree with you with was the part you said, when you said, why watch it? It's a spoiler because we knew AJ was going to win. That is exactly why CM Punk did not want to wrestle The Undertaker, because you know The Undertaker's going to win every WrestleMania. And I agree with you. Somebody needs to take control over TNA that knows a lot about wrestling, because if not, fellas, Vince McMahon might as well start buying them video library rights right now.
Yep, that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to find out everyone's overall score and their picks for best and worst match or segment of Bound for Glory. And as far as I'm concerned, the best match of the evening, I gotta go with Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode. That was by far a good, technically sound wrestling match with a unique finish. Something that we don't really see very often is, when the guy who loses executes the move. The person that gets put over didn't put the finishing move on. The guy kind of knocked himself out. It was kind of a unique finish, but it was a really, really good, technically sound wrestling match. I really enjoyed it. With the TNA Heavyweight Championship match, a very, very, very close second. As far as worst match of the evening for me, it was the Knockouts title match, hands down. It was even worse than the tag team title match, just based on the fact that they put the frickin' titles on Bromance. I gotta say, you guys want to ride on Lady Tapa's coattails all y'all want. She robbed Ivelisse Velez of her spot. It should be Ivelisse Velez in TNA, not her. And as far as I'm concerned, I say bullshit. That is my take, and I'm entitled to it. My overall score for Bound for Glory is going to get a solid 3.75 out of 5. As we go to the Shining Star, Rick Starr get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of Bound for Glory.
Well, I'm going to say first off, the best match of the night, for me, was definitely the main event match. I got to flip it, the Angle Roode match, yeah, great match, but I'm sorry, the main event match, yeah, we knew who was going to win, but it was overall a soundly excellent match. As far as the worst match of the night, I think the E3, EC3 versus that jobber, and unfortunately, that's a match that should have been on, if anything, the pre-show, or even on an Impact. It should not have been on one of your biggest pay-per-views of the year. I'm sorry. Very, very bad planning. That's just my thoughts. I understand it was a cool-down match. I know why they did it, but it's just very, very bad. So, overall score, the pay-per-view wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It was, a couple of other bad matches, which I really didn't care for. I didn't care for the Ultimate X match. It was a huge letdown for me. I'll have to give it a solid 3.
All right, as we go over to Mr. Joseph Knight and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of Bound for Glory.
The best match definitely was the Kurt Angle Robert Roode match. These two guys really went at it. The worst match, I would have to say the Sting and Magnus match. Sting really looked like he didn't want to really. There were times he did good spots, but those scorpion deaths, leg locks, it was just ridiculous. He didn't even put any pressure on anything. Overall, for the first time, a TNA pay-per-view, and I have to say that I like the tag teams because they finally put tag teams that look like teams again. I have to say, I give it about a 7, a good score of 7 for the whole pay-per-view.
Alright, as we go to Will next and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment for Bound for Glory.
Oh, guys, I'm back. My turn? Oh, wow, I got good timing. Damn, I'm good. Overall score 3. Best match, the main event. Yeah, main event. Worst match, my left nut tells me the EC3 match was the worst one ever. My right nut says, give Lady Tapa a chance, maybe.
God.
I agree. I'm going to give it a chance. You know what? I'm even going to give EC3 a chance. I just think this was just a bad show for him, and I think both of them, honestly, they might have a chance if they get the right showings.
And finally, we go to Ashton Spears and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of Bound for Glory.
Alright, best match. I'm torn because, I'm more of an entertainer than a worker. But from a worker standpoint, definitely Rude Angle. Loved the finish. Loved everything about it. I think it could have been just a tad bit better, but compared to TNA, that was the best match they put on for a while. Entertainment, the AJ and them, you were emotionally involved in it, which you always want in a wrestling match, so I'm kind of split. Worst match of the night, I'm gonna get flamed. Rick's gonna curse me out. The opening segment, the opening match, man, you have Samoa Joe in there, Jeff Hardy, A-Double, who I've been liking since Ring of Honor. You had, the artist formerly known as Suicide, and it just, Chris Sabin, you had the potential to put on a match that people would go, this is why we watch TNA. This is awesome. And you know something? It didn't. It had expectations of Shawn Michaels and Undertaker WrestleMania, and it didn't pay off. The disappointment alone was the worst part of the night. Best moment of the night, AJ's crash and burn, though. Overall, I hate TNA ever since the Ace and 8 angle, so I usually give them a 2 or a 1, but compared to other pay-per-views, I found myself at least watching and interested. So I give it a 3.5, 3.75, just because it was better than what they usually put out. And that's sad that a wrestling company is in such dire straits that you go, hey, should have been a lot worse than what it really was. So whether you agree or not, that's just my opinion. Like Billy says, I'm entitled to it.
Yep, and speaking of that, we want to know what you guys, the viewers and subscribers, have to say about Bound for Glory this year. What was your overall score, and what are your picks for best and worst match or segment of Bound for Glory. We want to hear from you guys out there. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. We'd like to throw out a special thanks to the Studley Man Ashley for joining us, as well as the Bay Area MVP, who's a little bit whipped at the moment by James from the Big Easy. He knows what I'm talking about. But as far as that goes, Rick, where... a secret meeting from the Houdat Temple. Anyway, Rick, where can fans check you out on HWR?
Of course, they can always check me out on my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And don't forget to come listen to our show on Hardcore Wrestling Radio over our Spreaker page. That's Spreaker.com/HWR Media.
Mr. Joseph Knight is a part of Classic Wrestling Association. Mr. Knight, where can fans check out more information for CWA?
Now they can go to ClassicWrestlingAssociation.com and also on Facebook. Same thing, Classic Wrestling Association.
And Mr. Spears, where can fans check out more information on you?
Well, unfortunately, when I went on a vacation, my Facebook got torn down, so we're going to put some website up. But right now, you can check me out at The Ashton Spears on YouTube. And, of course, Gulf Coast Wrestling. Check out that page. And pretty much just Google Ashton Spears and you'll find me. So, yeah, that's it. I love all you. I got to play face now, so no bad comments. I love all you fans now.
And currently, he is prepping his lawsuit against TNA for gimmick infringement. It's James from the Big Easy. James, what you got coming up?
Huh? Someone stole my gimmick? I'm suing. Anyway, football.
EC3.
I know, right? Anyway.
EC3's driving the bus?
Anywho, you will find me on the Hardcore Wrestling Radio Facebook page and the WGS-TV Facebook page. We're getting ready for Hell in a Cell next week.
Yep. So, also fans, don't forget to like the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WGS-TV, and don't forget to please subscribe to youtube.com/WrestlingGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network. So for the Studley Man Ashley, the Illuminous One, the Shining Star, Rick Star, Mr. Joseph Knight from CWA, James from the Big Easy, the Bay Area MVP known as Will, and Mr. Ashton Spears, I'm the Wrestling Gamer. Don't be Billy Boudreaux, saying thank you very much.
Stoke Artist. Stoke Artist. Stoke Artist. Stoke Artist. Spiritual medium. Stoke Artist. Stoke Artist. I'm Haley Ringrose. Stoke Artist.
My name's Andrew Weatherall.
Spiritual medium. Stoke Artist.